Okay, so the world's going Fallout crazy at the moment. There's a new TV show on Amazon Prime. I've watched the first episode; it's really, really good. So do check that out. But to tie into that, there's all manner of sales promotions happening with Fallout at the moment, and the announcement that Fallout 4's next generation upgrade is coming soon. I think it's April 25th, if memory serves. And yes, it's been announced that there's going to be a performance mode and a quality mode, frame rates up to 60 frames per second. Interesting stuff. Now, I guess, Oliver, the curious thing here is that, well, you can already play Fallout at 4K 60 frames per second on Xbox via a very simple mod. And meanwhile, there's FPS Boost that does 1080p 60. What are you expecting from this mod?
Well, from the patch? Yeah.
Yes, the patch. Sorry, I was going to say a mod. That's my key question.
Releasing the mod visually,
I guess that's my key question, whether it is actually going to be anything more than a mod, so to speak, or whether there is actually going to be some extensive retooling to the game.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that the Series X version, from what I recall, does seem to run the game at a decent 4K 60. And that's sort of what you'd expect, given that I think the Xbox One X version of the game was running at 4K. So the Series X often in titles, you see it basically double GPU-bound performance relative to Xbox One X, which is, I think, when you see that title. Then you also have the FPS Boost version, which does 1080p 60, like you mentioned. So it is kind of curious, like what would a next-gen console patch for Fallout look like on the Xbox Series consoles, but what would it look like in terms of that performance quality divide? Because you already basically have what you'd want from a quality mode or a performance mode, a quality mode in the performance mode, I should say. So that does seem a little bit more curious. On the PlayStation side, it makes more sense because that functionality is not available to gamers. So that would make more sense. It would also be interesting to see what they do with these versions, because the original titles are quite old, so you'd think they might be hard to update, but maybe they're doing PS5 or Xbox Series versions, or maybe they've just been updating the older versions often enough, and they have a familiarity with that code base. Maybe they're newer versions of the SDKs. So I think it's interesting. I think it's compelling. I certainly think it'd be interesting to see how these work when they do come out. But it's not a huge jump from what we already have from a technical perspective, at least on the Xbox Series side of things, unless we're missing something.
Yeah. I guess the question from my perspective, Alex, is whether it's going to be a native app or back compat plus.
Yeah. You'll get extras for that specifically on the PlayStation 5 side. Like you were just talking about, the Xbox advantages for that, or maybe some better GPU resources, maybe better usage of the GPU. I don't know. Here, I'm also curious about what they're going to do on PC, because I'm reading the description here and I'm a little embarrassed by the person who wrote this description, unfortunately. You can tell me what you think is wrong with this. We are also releasing a free Fallout 4 update for PC players! Experience Fallout 4 on your next generation PC with widescreen and ultra widescreen support. Why are they saying that the game now supports widescreen? What is that about? It always supported widescreen. Maybe not ultra wide, but yeah, that's a thing. So on PC, the current release of Fallout 4, it's like a kind of legacy title at this point. It's like one of those games that obviously works with Windows 11, but we're talking about, what is this, when did this game come out?
2015.
Gosh. Yeah, so we're talking about like 9 years old almost, and Windows updates between now and then, driver updates between now and then. The fact that the game was not super polished in some areas means it has a lot of legacy issues. Like one of them is that like a lot of creation engine games, like every single creation engine game has this issue where if you go above 60 FPS, the physics go out of whack, excluding Starfield. Like, will they reship the game with broken physics above 60 FPS? Like, your widescreen and ultra widescreen monitor is not going to be a 60 hertz one these days. Like what are they going to do? Are they going to ship the game with a 60 FPS cap in place, like in the past? Like, I don't know, like what they're going to do there. I'm also a little curious. The game has NVIDIA Flex Physics, I think it's called. It's like one of the updates to PhysX. So it's like a GPU PhysX that does like debris and stuff that flies around on the screen when you shoot stuff. As far as I know, it can cause like issues and crashing in the current version of Windows and the current drivers. Are they going to update it to not do that anymore? Like if they just release the game with like certain things but not fixing the legacy issues, I think that's actually like it's a little bit wasteful. Because ultra wide is nice, but having things work at like proper refresh rates and also not crashing is more important. I really wish that this PR blurb actually said like these things instead of just widescreen support, whatever the heck that means. So I mean, I'm not a huge Fallout 4 fan. I'm not even a huge Fallout 3 fan for that matter. But I would like to see that they actually went back in and changed some great things. But we'll know soon enough. April 25th is not too far around the corner. And I think however we cover this, and we will cover it, I imagine we're going to do like the usual, what's the name of that mission where you run up to the top of like this
Yeah, the Corvega factory.
Thank you.
I was reviewing Tom's content on this before.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, like how poorly that ran on Xbox One and even PS4 to a degree.
Yeah.
We're probably going to do that. Unfortunately, Tom's probably going to get settled in with this a little bit. But I bet Tom hates this game.
I'm sure he relishes it.
Yeah. But I also probably want to cover it to just answer generic questions of like, okay, can you play this at a high refresh rate now? Does it crash? How's the usability?
I get what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah. Two sort of points from my perspective. First of all, I mean, if you go to the DF channel and just look for FPS boost Fallout, you could actually see the game running at 4K 60 or up to 4K 60 to use the, as you describe it, PR blurb parlance. And the Corvega factory steel tanks there, but most of the time it's actually 4K 60, which is great just from the mod. So I'm wondering whether they've actually gone in and retooled it and spruced it up and actually
Right.
Produced something that's a bit better than the mod. You'd hope so if they've got bespoke quality and performance modes.
Yeah.
And you're quite right on the PlayStation side. I'm not quite sure if the mod was ever moved across to PlayStation. All it did was tell the game to turn off VSync, and then the back compat thing kicked in to turn VSync back on. But you effectively got unlocked frame rate with that. So
That's cool.
So yes, very curious to see if the lion's share of the improvements are actually on the PlayStation side. I am you asked for my comments on the PR blurb there, Alex. I am amused at the concept that you need a next generation PC to enjoy widescreen and ultra wide support.
Yeah, you definitely need like a 4090.
Break out the 4090 egregious edition for that ultra wide screen support.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But you're quite right. The concept that the game may still have issues running above 60 frames per second would be egregious and surely has to be addressed for your next generation PC.
Yeah. As far as I know, maybe even Fallout 76 has these issues. Please comment below this web zone if that is the truth.
Yep. They're saying it's also going to be Steam Deck verified, which you'd expect from an older game.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Should be no trouble.
What if you load this up on the OLED and it has frame rate, it has physics issues because it's 90 hertz? There's like these things. Like, is it really Steam Deck verified? We'll see.
Well, Steam Deck verification simply, I think, it just means it's got to run at a stable 30, and even then a lot of the games that are Steam Deck verified don't run at a stable 30. So it's kind of like, I think there needs to be a bit more policing going on with the concept of what Steam Deck verified actually means.
I agree.
But yes, I mean, it's a big game, and I think ultimately we're talking about, yes, you can do this already with a mod, but most people, 99.9% of the population out there, won't even be aware of the mod. So the concept that you are actually getting a proper properly directed 4K 60 mode, hopefully 4K 60, is only a good thing.